The Railways of Guyana, a journey through history. The Republic of Guyana sits on the northeastern coast of the South American continent, but is culturally and historically part of the wider West Indies or Caribbean region. It is one of the 4 founding members of CARICOM and currently the fastest-growing economy in the region. Not much is known about this small country, so let's take a look, shall we? Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Aaron Darcy Project. This is where we travel back through the pages of time to explore the colorful and very interesting history of Guyana and the Caribbean. I am Andrew, your host, and today we take a look at the early days of railway travel in Guyana. So jump on board and let's go. Guyana's history would not be completely told without the mention of 2 significant public railways, the Demerara-Berbice Railway and the Demerara-Essequibo Railway. There were also several industrial railways established, primarily serving the bauxite industry, and we'll take a look at these as well. Remarkably, the Demerara-Berbice Railway held the distinction of being the oldest railway in South America when it was active. None of these railways are operational in the 21st century. The Demerara-Berbice Railway, constructed in what was then British Guiana, now Guyana, was the first railway system on the South American continent. Built to a standard gauge of 4 feet 8.5 inches, it was initially operated by the Demerara Railway Company, a private entity, but was then sold to the Colonial Transport Department of the government on January 1, 1922. That railway system eventually spanned 97.4 kilometers, 60.5 miles, along the country's Atlantic coast, connecting the capital and main port of Georgetown in Demerara to Rossignol in Berbice, Guyana's easternmost region. From Rossignol, a ferry steamer used to provide a connection across the Berbice River to the town of New Amsterdam for vehicles and people. The proposal for the construction of this railway was approved in July 1846. The railway was then designed, surveyed, and built by the British-American architect and artist, Frederick Catherwood. The railway's infrastructure, including stations, bridges, and other facilities, was constructed by John Bradshaw Sharples. The Demerara Sugar Company, a major player in the country's economy at that time, financed the project as the railway greatly facilitated the transportation of the company's products to the shipping docks in Georgetown. The railway between Demerara and Rossignol was built in sections. The first section from Georgetown to Pleasance, a village about 3 miles outside the city, was opened on November 3, 1848. Unfortunately, the opening day's celebrations were marred by the tragic death of one of the railway's directors, who was run over by a locomotive. Beginning in 1848, the railway operated 2 return trains per day between Georgetown and Pleasance. Subsequent extensions reached Belfield in 1854, Mahaica in 1864, and finally Rossignol between 1897 and 1900. By 1922, there was 1 train each weekday between Georgetown and Rossignol, departing Georgetown at 8 a.m. and returning in the evening. By 1936, the Colonial Transport Department managed an impressive fleet, including 16 locomotives, 39 coaches, and 283 goods wagons. 12 years later, in 1948, the railway system in Bermuda was dismantled and sold, lock, stock, and barrel, to the government of British Guiana and was used to rejuvenate the local railway system. The locomotives in British Guiana were fully restored, utilizing the equipment from Bermuda and then painted dark green. In that faraway, somewhat quaint countryside of British Guiana, locomotives were actually given distinctive names. The Mosquito, the Sandfly, and the Firefly were acquired in 1847. The Alexandra and the Victoria arrived in 1863. The Sir Wilfrid and the Sir Graham were then brought into service in 1924. And the Sir Gordon and the Sir John joined the fleet in 1946. By 1953, the public railway lines in the colony had transported almost 2 million passengers and just under 93,000 tons of freight. Although there was an ambitious plan to extend the railway south to Brazil, that never materialized. The Demerara-Berbice Railway included 3 major steel bridges, spanning the Mahaica, Maikoni, and Abari rivers. The railway owned 15 additional stations along its route between Georgetown and Rossignol. These were Belair, Pleasance, Bedford-Wacting, Buxton, Nampral, Enmore, Golden Grove, Belfield, Clonbrooke, Mahaika, Dakindren, Mycone, Belladrum, Litchfield, and Fort Wellington. Sadly, the Georgetown to Rossignol railway service was discontinued in 1972. Guyana's second railway, the Demerara-Essequibo Railway, operated on a 3 feet 6 inch gauge and stretched for 29.8 kilometers or 18.5 miles along the west coast of Demerara, from Vredenhoop on the Demerara River to Parika on the Essequibo River. The first section, from Vredenhoop to Greenwich Park, was laid around 1899. The line was extended to Parika in 1914. By 1922, 3 return trains operated daily, timed to connect with steam ferries on the Demerara River at Vredenhoop and Parika on the Essequibo River. This railway service ended in 1974. But by then, the Demerara-Essequibo line had 8 stations between the city and the end of the line at Parika. These were Vredenhoop, Windsor Forest, Hague, Leonora, Eiflucht, Dakindren, Tushin, Vergenoegen, Greenwich Park, and Parika. Additionally, minor stops, known as platforms, were located between the stations, including Crane, Blankenberg, Den Amstel, Cornelia Ida, Stewartville, De Willem, and Farm. The line also featured a steel bridge across the Burusiri River. The public railway system in Guyana was gradually dismantled under President Forbes Burnham and totally ceased operations between 1972 and 1974. The main Lamaha Street terminus of the Demerara-Berbice Railway was subsequently converted into a bus terminal. Even after the public railway system ceased operations, industrial railways continued to function, particularly at bauxite mining sites and along the route linking Port Kaituma and Matthews Ridge in the Northwest District. In 1897, a 29.8-kilometer, 18.5 miles, industrial railway was constructed between Rockstone and Vismar, now Linden, providing access to gold fields, balata, and hardwood plantations. By 1936, this system included 14 locomotives and 272 goods wagons. This service was closed in the 1940s. This detailed account of Guyana's railway stations and rolling stock highlights the rich history and significant infrastructure that once played a crucial role in the country's transportation network. The rich history of Guyana's railways reflects a bygone era of innovation and connectivity, which left behind a legacy that continues to fascinate. In a future episode of the Aaron Darcy Project, we'll take a look at the early days of air travel in Guyana. We trust that you have enjoyed today's episode of the Aaron Darcy Project. Please like and share our material with others, and if you haven't done so already, please do consider subscribing to our channel. We really do welcome your comments. Let us know what we might have gotten wrong so that we can correct this, and also what we did get right. Anyway, please do leave a comment. Goodbye for now.